Michael Johnson versus Clay Guida. We got minus 225 on Michael Johnson and plus 185 on Clay Guida. We're seeing this line slowly starting to tighten up. It was roughly around minus 245 a couple of days ago. And now the money is coming in on Clay Guida, and I completely understand that as to why that's happening. So let's go over Michael Johnson, the unfortunate 19-16 record that he has. God damn. Like I put out a tweet a couple of days ago where I'm like, if you told me coming off that Edson Barboza win for Michael Johnson that, he was 16-8 at that time, improved to 16-8 after beating Edson Barboza, that if you told me 5 or 6 years ago, or within 5 or 6 years, he'd be 19-16 and going up against Clay Guida, I'd punch you in the mouth for disrespecting a guy like Michael Johnson. You know what I mean? But here we are. He's only won 2 fights in his last, 8 fights. He's 2-6 in his last 8 fights. Those 2 wins coming over a split over Andre Fili, and then he obviously unanimous decisions Artem Lobov, who just doesn't know how to do anything other than strike. So Michael Johnson was absolutely going to go pick him apart there. So let's just talk about the last 3 fights where he's pretty much winning all of these fights, but then just has this slip up, has this misstep that eventually gets him to give up the fight. So the Josh Emmett fight, he was going on his way to winning a decision in that fight, and all you hear from his cornermen is stay sharp, stay disciplined, stay sharp, don't overextend. Like they're just reassuring him to be like, dude, you're almost there. We're about to cross the finish line. And then Josh Emmett uncorks a beautiful overhand, right? Puts Michael Johnson out, and he loses that fight. Then the next fight, Stevie Ray drops the first round, has a solid second round, but in that third round, he slips up. Stevie Ray gets top position and pretty much rides it out, even gets a 10-8 on one of the judges' scorecards. So he loses that fight. Next one, Thiago Moises absolutely outstrikes him in that first round. Second round, something happens, slips. Thiago Moises ends up with the ankle lock and gets a tap within 25 seconds of that round starting. Like the guy just has these minor slip-ups, and it's just so unfortunate to see because I believe he's one of the more talented guys out there. He's 34 years old. He's going to be 35 this year. I believe in June is his birthday. But you got to be very clear and cautious when you're betting Michael Johnson fights because the guy has all the skills in the world. Like if this fight goes his way, he's going to look like a minus 600. But then he just has those momentary lapses in judgment where something slips up, something happens, and his opponent is more than able to go out there and take advantage of it. Now you got a guy in Clay Guida who is just an engine nonstop, going forward, doesn't really mind what's coming back at him. Even in the Bobby Green fight, very close fight where he's able to just go out there and just continuously try to take him down, and he keeps moving forward. But Bobby Green, obviously a very good fighter, able to go out there and kind of just nullify the second and third rounds and get those and gets the decision victory there. I don't feel so comfortable in Michael Johnson being able to keep the range here against Clay Guida. I feel like we will see him get the takedowns. I feel like we'll see him accrue that control time up against the cage, which is going to be very valuable, especially if this fight goes to the judges' scorecards. Now, it's obviously possible that Michael Johnson could knock out Clay Guida. He has great technique with his hands, one of the best boxers in the UFC. But again, he just has these momentary slip-ups, and I feel like when you have a guy like Clay Guida who's able to go forward all the time, grind you up against the cage. We're talking about a guy that has over, 50-something fights now. He's 35-20. He has 55 fights. He's going to have 50. This will be his 56th fight, 56th walk to the octagon. So yeah, you bet he's definitely seen somebody like Michael Johnson in the past, whereas Michael Johnson is just trying to string together a couple wins. Like the guy just can't catch a break. If he loses here, he's probably getting his walking papers, which is absolutely crazy to think of a guy who we've had, set as high expectations as we had from Michael Johnson. If you guys remember, he was like the number 1 pick from the Ultimate Fighter where it was GSP against Koscheck. And I believe he went on to lose that to Jonathan Brookins, if I'm not mistaken. I just want to go back and check that out. Yeah, he lost to Jonathan Brookins, but he beat Aaron Wilkinson, Alex Caceres, and Nam Phan on the Ultimate Fighter Season 12, and then loses a decision to Jonathan Brookins. Never really able to get his role going. He had a solid 4-fight winning streak where he beat Joe Lozon, Gleison Tebow, Melvin Gillard, and Edson Barboza. Then he loses to Benio Dariush, loses to Nate Diaz, beats Dustin Poirier, a very high-level win there, and then from there it goes on that, 2-6 run. It's just so sad to see for a guy like Michael Johnson. So how you can be confident in laying anything better than minus 200 on Michael Johnson or worse than minus 200 on Michael Johnson is beyond me. I don't care if it's Clay Guida in front of you. I mean, you just can't trust this guy. I'd say he's the most untrustworthy fighter in the UFC. And like if Clay Guida hits that plus 200 mark, which I think he probably will, it might even be worth a play there just for the sake of it, just off of principle. I mean, Clay Guida brings what you need in a guy that will go out there, pursue the takedowns, pursue the clinch, try to gain control time. And we know he has that gas tank as well, too. In terms of getting finished for Clay Guida, which is obviously a possibility for Michael Johnson here, we've seen Guida guillotine choked by Jim Miller in a fight where he hurt Jim Miller. Jim Miller hurts him back. Clay Guida goes for a takedown, and he gets submitted. All of that happening within 58 seconds. Before that, finished by Charles Oliveira via guillotine choke. Can you really bang on him for that? The Brian Ortega fight gets knocked out in the third round. Thiago Tavares chokes him out in 39 seconds. Dennis Bermudez rear naked chokes him. So it's like, it's iffy. Michael Johnson could absolutely land a bomb on him and put him out and just pick him apart, but I'm not banking on that. I would rather go with the Clay Guida side. You won't catch me betting on Michael Johnson out here unless he's able to put together like 3 or 4 straight victories where we see him mind his P's and Q's and just keeps his distance and picks apart his opponent from the outside. That's when I'll be confident in betting Michael Johnson. But at this point in time, not me. So I'm picking Clay Guida here. I think he wins by decision. I think we just see him over and over again, just grind on Michael Johnson, push him up against the cage, get him to the ground, maybe ride some top pressure. But I just don't think we see Michael Johnson comfortable enough on the feet to really get his combinations going. But it's going to be on Clay Guida to close that distance and continuously try to take this fight to the ground. So I'm going with Clay Guida. I think he wins this fight via decision. Not my most confident pick, as I do believe skill for skill, Michael Johnson blows him out of the water. But it all comes down to the mentality. It all comes down to the fight IQ. And you got to go with the Clay Guida side here rather than Michael Johnson. So I'll go with Clay to win this fight via decision.